3 after, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm sure other people will be jumping on, but want to be respectful of everyone's time. So welcome members and guests, and thank you for joining us for the Austin Young Chamber's webinar, Staying Emotionally Healthy, presented by Justice Marini with Under the Influence Coaching and Consulting. So my name is Mel Martin. If I haven't met you before, I am the event marketing coordinator for the Austin Young Chamber. So we're glad that you have joined us for today's webinar, whether you're a business owner, an entrepreneur, an employee, someone looking for your next opportunity. The Austin Young Chamber is dedicated to supporting you as we navigate change, we spur action and grow as a community together. We're trying to add new programs, resources, and ways to engage all the time. So stay tuned to our website, austinyc.org. And our social channels for the latest information. You can always reach out to us for any ways we can better support you. And then before we begin today's presentation, I wanted to cover just a couple housekeeping items. So this is a live recorded webinar. A link to watch today's presentation will be made available to you post-event. And if you have any questions during the presentation, please add it to the Q&A tool at the bottom of your Zoom screen. We're going to set aside some time at the end as well to go through those questions, and we'll try to answer as many questions as we can until we end at 12:30. So with that, it's now my pleasure to introduce our speaker, Justice Marini. Justice is a life coach, realtor, and management consultant who lives here in Austin, Texas. His passion is to help business leaders who feel emotionally, spiritually, and mentally stuck get their breakthrough. He's a former pastor and now a small business owner who enjoys seeing leaders thrive. And you may also remember Justice from our annual Lead Summit back in February. He served on the planning committee and he moderated a breakout session, which I wasn't in there, but I had multiple people tell me that he did an amazing job. And he is married to his beautiful wife, Stephanie, and has 3 young boys. So Justice, the floor is yours.
What is going on, guys? I see we have 15 people here, which is amazing. I know we have more people on the way. I have a presentation, so I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we are going to get started. Awesome. I hope everybody can see this okay. But yeah, today is about staying emotionally healthy, how to increase your emotional capacity during times of uncertainty. And man, when this originally came up is when COVID hit. I had just been through a ton of really hard things in my life. And with everything with COVID, I heard all these people going through these emotions that I had just kind of healed from. And I thought, man, Mel, is this something that we could do? Here's what I'm thinking. She's like, let me check with the team. They came back and said, yeah, that's great. And then over the past few days, we had no idea that everything that's happening now with George Floyd and just race relations and all of that stuff was happening. And so I feel like one of the things that I've just heard the most is, unprecedented times. That these are just unprecedented times. That we don't know. Literally, we're learning how to exist in this new normal. And so I can't think of a better time. Of course, I never would wish that so many of these things would have happened. But as business leaders, as business owners, as employees, it's our responsibility to take accountability for ourselves. And so staying emotionally healthy right now is extremely important as you lead others. And so this time I'm going to be focusing primarily on how to increase your emotional capacity during times of uncertainty. And I just had a call this morning with one of my coaching clients, and she is going through a whole host of things. She's a business leader in a marketing firm. And for the first 15, 20 minutes, it was just conversations through tears as she has a boyfriend, a fiance who's mixed, and she's just wrestling with all of these things, all of these emotions, while also trying to achieve the goals that she feels have been placed on her life, her purpose, her vision. And so she's learning how to increase her own capacity as a business leader because she's never been here before. She's never had to deal with these things before. So I am excited to do this. And I just want to say, thank you. I don't take it lightly, even though this is a fun little gift, but I don't take it lightly that I get to be with you guys. If you're on this call, if you're on this webinar, It's either because you're trying to learn something so you can better lead your team, or you are in some position of uncertainty. You could say, yeah, well, just as all of us are, but maybe there's a way that this uncertainty is specifically hitting you. One of the clients that I coach, his father-in-law passed away from COVID. And so he is learning how to lead his girlfriend, fiance, he's learning how to lead the relationship right now in this unknown time. So it hits him a little bit differently. And so I just want to say, I do not take this time lightly. I don't take you being on this call and trusting me with your time lightly. And there will be time for questions, and I'm going to have questions for you. This is going to be very interactive. And so the one thing I do ask for you is that you would be vulnerable during this time. That you would share whenever we start asking for you to like kind of leave stuff in the chat. I do want to know how you're doing. I do take this seriously. And so I want to know how you're doing. But you're probably wondering, who is this guy? Why is he talking to us? What puts him in a position to talk to us about our emotions and telling us to share and all that fun stuff? But well, my name is Justice, and I know Mel already shared a lot about me and a little intro, but I was a former pastor in Dallas, Texas. Just an unbelievable time. I got started in youth as a youth pastor, and it was an incredible time. And then associate pastor, then executive pastor. I did banking before that. I was a finance grad from Louisiana Tech University, go Dogs. And I got to work for Wells Fargo Bank, did credit management there. I was a personal banker at Chase, and then I worked in fundraising. So I've kind of done a whole gambit of stuff. I won't waste your time on all the things that I've done, but it's been quite the path. And then, of course, I own my own business. I do life and business coaching. I've been married for 8 years to my beautiful bride, Stephanie. I should probably have a picture of her. I don't. She is the love of my life. I actually met her at a karaoke bar. Yes, you can find true love at a bar. But she saw me dancing, and I caught her eye. And I'm not surprised. I've got some moves. But yeah, we've been married for 8 years. And we've got 3 incredible kiddos, Daniel, Ezekiel, and Moses. Daniel's our oldest. He's 6 years old. Ezekiel is 5 years old. And Moses is 8 months old. And he is just a chunk of love. He is just smiling all the time. I can't get enough of him. If I want to smile, I just got to go pick up Moses. He's awesome, unless he's crying. And then it's not awesome. And that's when I say, Stephanie, I think Moses asked for you specifically. But anyways, I'm a realtor by day and a life coach by night. So before 9 o'clock, I'm usually on the phone with my coaching clients, whether they're business entrepreneurs who just need help to get some breakthroughs, or they're just different business leaders who just have something going on in their life and they need a breakthrough. So a lot of times when people come to me, they are in a place of what I like to call trauma. And I know that sounds like an extreme statement. Trauma, that sounds intense. But the way that I like to think of trauma is the presence of bad or the absence of good. As we start talking about emotions, it's really, for me, that's the way I like to kind of phrase it in my mind. It's the presence of bad or the absence of good. So there's different levels of trauma, but trauma is trauma. So you could be going through all kinds of emotions because of something that someone else might see as small, but for you, it is the presence of bad. And you might be going through something that everyone would say, man, that's a big deal. You're going through a death in the family. Well, that's trauma as well. It's the absence of good. So I get a lot of people that are in a place of trauma, and I love seeing them who feel like stuck, whether it's emotionally, spiritually, or mentally feel stuck. I want to help them get their breakthrough. Just like one of my clients who I absolutely love, his name's Dean. He was an owner in a gym, and it was doing really well. But it came time to go, and he was feeling a lot of emotions about it, frustration, anger, all that kind of stuff. And we were able to help him increase his capacity for emotions so that he could go on and build something new. And now he's actually a photographer, a videographer, and he's doing unbelievable for himself. So I got to see him do breakthrough, and that's what I hope happens for you today. But my goal for this webinar, for you, I want to motivate you to seek to increase your emotional capacity so you can achieve your goals. Each one of you on this call, whether you're an entrepreneur and you have some really particular business goals, or you're an employee and you're just trying to work up the ladder and get promoted and be seen as responsible with the task that you've been given and increase your finances, I want to motivate you to go, I also need to increase my emotional capacity. It's a big deal. I want to give you those specific tools to increase your emotional capacity. So at the end of this, I've got a PDF, and I'll also share it with Mel, just so you guys can know. It's like a PDF that just gives you some practical things that you can do to help you process and increase your emotional capacity. I want to give you some examples of people who have increased their capacity and created some success. And I also want to answer any questions you may have about staying mentally healthy and increasing your emotional capacity. We'll have some time towards the end of this, but I see that as a big deal. So I want to be able to interact with you guys today and really help you guys advance. And that leads to you guys. One of the things that I really live by, a phrase that I really try to live by, is know yourself, lead yourself. You're not going to be a great leader of yourself unless you know yourself. How are you wired? What are your strengths? I love personality tests, but what are your strengths? What sets you off? What triggers you? What makes you great? What is the thing that you and only you can do? When you're operating out of your strengths and you know your emotions, your top 3 emotional needs, and you know what gets you from point A to point B and what you shouldn't do and what you should do, you can lead yourself 10 times better. So here's my question for now, and I'd love for you to drop in the chat box and just be bold and be vulnerable with us today. At this point, we have maybe 15 or 16 people. But how are you feeling? And more specifically, what made you click on this? I mean, emotional needs is not something that everyone's like hopping on to talk about. So what, like in the chat, if you could, I just want to know in the Q&A, what made you want to get on this? Was it someone on your team that you're leading that you're going, they stress me out, I want to get better at this? Is it your family where you're going, hey, like, God, I'm coming home and I'm stressed and I can't take it. I've already had enough going on at work and I'm getting triggered really quickly. Is it that you understand that in order for your business to grow, that you have to grow? And so you're trying to increase your emotional capacity there. But I would love for you in the chat box, let's kind of exit out of this. I would just love to hear what is causing you, let's see here. What made you want to jump on this call? What is the thing that made you go, hey, I want to grow? And you can go ahead and put that in the chat box. Yeah, that's awesome. Feeling restless, excited to hear about more tools I can use to be patient with family and friends. I love that. You're going to get that today. All right. Hey, you guys love my enthusiasm. I love it. All right. My smile is making you smile. That's what I'm here for, man. That's awesome. Whoever posted, been feeling restless, man, me too. I don't know about you, but during this whole time, I've like at home, I'm an extrovert. I love being around people and I'm at home. Yeah. Let's try and get 1 or 2 more. What specifically made you go, man, I might need this. Maybe there's something on this. Trying to develop a presentation for CHWs to increase self-care methods. I thought this would be a resource. I hope it is a great resource. Awesome. Steal. That is like awesome. Nothing is original. Take as much of this as you want. If you have any questions, please let me know. Apprehension for the future. Weight of uncertainty causing stagnation. Harder and harder to get going. I've been there. I know exactly what you're talking about. My heart feels heavy today, but way back when I signed up for that, I realized I wanted to get on my emotional well-being. You guys are incredible. Look at all of this. Yes, feeling fractured, sad, angry. I would like some tools to keep myself emotionally healthy. Come on, man. Just by you guys sharing this, I just want to say you guys are leaders. This is what is necessary. You can't work with nothing. And so when you know where to work from, you kind of create a path to get there, overwhelmed by all of this that is happening and wanting to find a way to rest among the chaos. I think that word chaos is like so accurate. It just feels like chaos, doesn't it? It just feels like chaos. And so, man, if by the end of this you feel like I wasn't able to get you to that place where you're going, I now feel like I know what to do, reach out to me. And I would love to just specifically help you. But let's go ahead and get started. These are some great, thank you guys, Arlette, Willie, Rebecca, Carter, Kelso. If I said it wrong, Celso. You put it in there, Celso. I love it. Okay, thank you guys for sharing that. Let me get this screen back up. All right. Thank you guys. That means a lot. I don't take any of that lightly. All right. Well, just to help you, knowing where you stand and where you are emotionally is a big deal. The first part of all of this is knowing where you're at emotionally. If you cannot accurately say what you're feeling or how you're feeling, then the rest of this is going to be like foreign language to you. I'm not asking you to be in touch with your emotions. I'm not a counselor, in case you haven't noticed. In case you haven't noticed, I'm not a counselor. I just want to go ahead and say that. But I do know it's important to know where you're at emotionally. For instance, a lot of times when I'm coaching clients, they'll say, man, I'm angry. Well, anger is a secondary emotion. What does that mean? It means underneath anger, you're actually either afraid, that has to do with the future, or you're sad, that has to do with your past. So knowing where you're at, this is a growth moment. If I was not married, I wouldn't know a lot of this stuff. My wife, Stephanie, has helped me understand where I'm at emotionally, like you would not even believe. So I just want to share this. This is just a small little graph. We're going to share this, but this helps me, especially when you're early in the emotional game, go, oh, I feel confident, or this is how I feel. So I hope that this is helpful. We're going to share this. I know Mel's going to share this replay, so you'll have it. But I want to share my emotional story from burnout, failure, and depression. So I started really in this journey as a youth pastor. I ran into some low-income, single-parent young boys, honestly, who stole my heart. They stole my heart. And it was one of those moments, I don't know if you guys have had this moment where you're just going, if I could do this for the rest of my life, I would. Mm-hmm. And I actually I had to raise support, but I got the opportunity to serve these boys, and man, they were hurt, but they were vulnerable, and they wanted more. And they stole from me, they lied to me, all that stuff, and I still loved them. They were amazing, and I saw God do some amazing stuff through their lives. And I also saw just some places that when one parent is missing, it can cause all kinds of hurt and emotions to where you're easily triggered, you're ready to go. But either way, I got to lead these boys from 7th grade up until graduating high school. How cool is that? It was the greatest privilege ever, and I still keep in contact with them to this day. But during my time of leading them, 2 of them passed away. One of them got in a wreck, believing drugs were involved, and another one that only came like once or twice was actually murdered. And it wrecked me. And I remember being at the funeral for one of them and just looking out. They asked me to speak, and looking out, and I saw all these boys that I had been serving. And of course, the casket's right below me. And I'm just going, how do I lead these boys through this? And unfortunately, it was common for them to lose people that they know. But how do I lead them? How do I help them overcome? Well, that youth group ended abruptly, even though I kept in contact. It was really sad. So I encountered some sadness there. Well, then I got asked to be the associate pastor of our church, and eventually the executive pastor of our church. And I got to lead us through raising over $400,000 to purchase a building, to raising up groups and growing the church and doing some amazing things there. Mm-hmm. And then through all of that, my last 2 months there, we just kind of saw that our lead pastor was just burnt out. And so the elders lovingly said, hey, you need to take 6 months paid leave. And so literally, I already felt like the church was on my shoulders, but then it literally was. And it was so hard. Not only that, but then we kind of felt like we were supposed to move to Austin, and we didn't know why. We just felt a leading to move here. So we moved here, and I had no job. Our debt was growing. To say I was overwhelmed was just the biggest understatement. But the weird thing was that as I got to this point, I also noticed that I didn't have a lot of energy. My energy just started to slow down a ton. And I was an executive pastor, so I was used to executing on a pretty high level, but it all kind of slowed down, and it was really, really hard. I didn't know why. And then I went to our counselor, and she said I couldn't have asked for her to say better things to me, but she said, you think you're depressed? And honestly, I was relieved. I was like, is that it? She's like, yeah, you burned out. That's called burnout. And now your body, you're depressed. And she taught me some really cool tools to use when you're in that. Because I said, hey, do I need to start taking some medicine? She's like, not yet. If we get there, we will, but not yet. And so I just learned these tools, and I learned a lot about myself, that a lot of times when I was working from a place of insecurity and a place of fear. That meant I felt like the church was on my shoulders. I felt like the responsibility of it all. But when you carry that for too long of a season, your body just kind of can give up. And that's what my body did. It literally was in survival mode for years, and it gave up. Not only to add that, but we were having children. I was a young father, and my wife was actually unknowingly going through depression. We didn't know until we moved here that, oh, when I told her what I was feeling, she goes, I've been feeling that for years. What is that? I was like, it's depression. You got the depression. Come on. And it was hard. We can joke about it now, but it was really, really hard. So I wanted to share my story, but what that led me to during this time of healing was just reading a lot of books, listening to a lot of stories to people that healed, and just going, how did they get over this? Has this been anyone else's question? Just going like, how do I heal? How do I get over this? How do I move forward? And so I started looking and listening to the stories of people like Oprah Winfrey, who was physically abused up to the age of 9. She ran away from home at the age of 13. She got pregnant at 14, and that baby was miscarried. How did she get to the place where she is now? Or maybe it's Walt Disney, who filed for bankruptcy 7 times. After creating Mickey Mouse, he had a nervous breakdown. His animators during World War II went on strike, and it led to $4 million in debt. I'd never reached that amount in debt, thankfully. And at the opening of one of his most exciting moments of Disneyland, the plumbing was a mess, and people forged tickets to get in, to where the newspapers called it Black Sunday. How does he create a brand that when we think of it, of Disney, a Disney movie, it produces excitement and joy? Isn't that interesting? Like, where did they learn this emotional capacity? Or someone like Viktor Frankl, imprisoned at several concentration camps by Nazis, including Auschwitz. While there, his wife and son died. But he would later go on to write one of the most famous popular books, A Man's Search for Meaning. Over 10 million copies have been sold and has been translated into 24 languages. One of my favorites, Abraham Lincoln. He's a failed businessman. His wife died at a very young age, nervous breakdown, 1836. He failed to get into office, different offices in government, 7 times. Somehow built the emotional capacity to run again and become one of the most famous presidents of our time. Or everyone's favorite, Harriet Tubman. Born a slave, age 12, suffered head trauma. Husband remarried without her knowledge. Are you kidding me? Imagine coming home to that. Who are you? I'm his new wife. And then struggled with narcolepsy. Went on to free hundreds of slaves. Come on. Where does his emotional capacity come from? Where does this come? And we know they probably weren't totally emotionally healthy. Abraham Lincoln struggled with depression. I mean, who knows the anxiety that Harriet Tubman went in, but somehow they were able to build the emotional capacity to keep going. I love this quote by T. Harv Eker. Successful people have fear, successful people have doubts, and successful people have worries. They just don't let these feelings stop them. What I want us to become great at is acknowledging our emotions, dealing with them in a healthy way, and not allowing them to keep us over time from moving forward. This isn't a striving thing. This is more of I'm healthily moving forward, and I'm not dependent on my emotions. I'm aware of them, and I know how to healthily move forward. So in order to do this, guys, I'm getting fired up. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm getting excited, okay? Get used to it. This is an eye-opener. I know you're going to be like, duh, but hey, everyone has emotions. Emotional needs are not a weakness. You have them. In fact, I believe, and in my studying with the Center for Relational Care, they trained me while I was a pastor, and then I continue to go to them for counseling. They're faith-based, but even if you don't have a faith in any kind of religion, they'll still counsel you in whatever you need. But I want to know how to overcome. And when it comes to emotion, it's important for everyone to understand that you have emotional needs. It's not a weakness. It is just a reality. And in fact, depending on who you are, you will have different ones that are your top 3, meaning when you were born, you came out of the womb with these specific needs, whether it's acceptance, receiving another person willingly, unconditionally, even when their behavior has been imperfect, loving another in spite of difference or failures. Maybe that's you. Or maybe yours is affection. Maybe you have a huge need for affection, expressing care and closeness through physical touch, saying, I love you, or I care about you. Or maybe one of your top needs is appreciation, expressing thanks, praise, or commendation, recognizing accomplishments or effort, particularly for what someone does. Is it approval, where it's a building up or affirming another, particularly for who they are, affirming both the fact of and the importance of a relationship? Maybe it's attention. This is one of my big needs. So I'm loving this webinar. I'm getting all this love. I'm getting all this attention. This is one of my top relational needs, emotional needs. Attention, conveying appropriate interest, concern, and care, taking notice of another, entering another's world. Comfort, responding to a hurting person with words, feelings, and touch, to hurt with and for another's grief or pain. Encouragement. This is one that I'll hear a lot of people say they receive from me. Urging another to persist and persevere toward a goal, stimulating towards love and good deeds, particularly when someone is weary. Respect. Most of the people, the men I coach, this is one of their top three. It's almost always going to be in there. Respect, valuing and regarding one another highly, treating one another as important, honoring one another with words and actions. Security. This is a big one for my wife. Encouraging harmony in relationships, even as conflicts are resolved. Trust is deepened and vulnerability is expressed, providing freedom from fear or threat or harm. So for me, it might sound weird, but when we were early in our relationship with my wife, one of the things I had to start doing was when we would get in a fight, an argument, a verbal fight or argument, I would actually hold her hand so that she would know I'd never leave her. So I had to learn that. That created security for her. For every person, it's going to look different. All right? Support. A lot of the entrepreneurs, high-performing entrepreneurs that I'll coach, support is a big deal for them. They own their own business or they're the CEO. This is a big deal. Support. Coming alongside and gently helping with a problem or struggle, providing appropriate assistance. So you're born with them. You have three primary ones. And here's the big kicker. If you do not have these met in a healthy way, you will get them met in an unhealthy way. I just want to be really clear. If you do not have these feelings, these emotional needs met, you will get them met. I remember there was a boy that I used to pastor who always talked all the time. Everyone got tired of him talking. He would, anytime it's time to raise your hand, he'd raise his hand, he'd talk the whole time. Guess what? He came from a single parent home. No one listened to him, but he was born with a need for attention. So how did he get it met? He forced it. It didn't matter if it was awkward. It didn't matter. He would do it. Have you ever known the girl that always dates guys that are bad, but are always strong and buff, but they're no good for her? A lot of times it's the need for security. Have you ever had the boss that is super commanding, over the top, because he needs respect? He wants respect, but he's going about it in an unhealthy way. Maybe the best way to go about it is to say, hey, like, look, I don't feel respected right now because of this, this, and this, but it would make me feel respected if I saw this, this, and this. Is that something that we can do? Or just knowing that in his head. We all know the person that is always trying to look for a way for people to say, way to go. They were born with a need for appreciation. If they don't get it, they're going to work as hard as they can to get that need met. And it might be in an unhealthy way. Or affection. I think we've all fumbled there in life, getting that need met in an unhealthy way because we naturally had a need for affection. If you were like me when I first heard all this stuff, it's kind of a mind-blowing conception, mind-blowing just thought that, yeah, I do have these. And you're probably looking through all of these and going, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, this person has this person has this. I have this. Oh gosh, I can now see Linda at work. She totally has an attention need. Oh my gosh. This is a big deal. And it's not really talked about because not many people know about it. It's not a secret. It's just oftentimes we can either feel shame, like the person that I was talking to today that I was coaching. She felt a lot of shame around that need for attention. But she is this unbelievable coach and works in digital marketing. And oh my gosh, she needs attention. She needs someone to come along and say, you're killing it right now. But guess what? If that is not a huge value for her boss, he's not going to say it. So it's her responsibility in a healthy way to say, hey, during my quarterly reviews, if they have them, I'd love to hear from you about what you see me doing right. You don't have to make anything up. If there isn't anything, you don't have to say it, but I want to know what I'm doing well. It would make me feel seen. I hope this is making sense to you guys. And I hope this is helping you guys, but we all have them. So here's the question. Here's the question, okay? What kind of leader do you need to be in order to move forward in a healthy way? There's a book I keep by my bedside. It's called Rare Leadership. And I really think, whether you read this book or not, that you need to become a rare leader. And as we go over these next few things, like I just want to be really careful, and I want to be really clear. Like, none of this is new. None of it's new. But it might be new to you. So this is a really rough overview of this information. There's so much behind it. There's so much counseling behind it. There's so much science behind it that I just want to be clear with you guys. Like, yes, I know that I'm like skimming over this, and it's probably making you go, I want to know about my stuff and all my stuff. Everyone that I coach, I make them do emotional needs tests because I want to know the best way to coach them. So if you guys, I say all that so that when you guys are leading people on your team, trust me, if you're on here, it means you are a talented young leader, right? And you want to grow. So guess what? In the next 2 to 3 years, if you're not already leading someone, you will. You're going to get promoted. It's hard to hide talent. So you need to be able to see what actually makes other people move, what takes them down, what are their emotional needs. So now that you have this list, it should help you start to become more aware of your own emotions and the emotions of others. I hope this is helping you guys. I'm kind of going fast because I'm fired up. Let me get a drink of water. I can't see the stuff in the chat yet because I'm sharing my screen, but I'll look at it here in a second. All right. You guys doing okay? Give me a thumbs up if you are. If you gave a thumbs up, I can't even see you. I bet you did it anyway. All right, here we go. You must become a rare leader. What does RARE stand for? Remain relational, act like yourself, return to joy, endure hardship well. Whew. All right, so you want to talk about increasing your capacity? You've got to become a rare leader. Okay? What does that look like? We're going to have to go through each one. Remain relational. Stay relationship focused, not problem focused. This is going to be hard for you, especially if you're CEO, entrepreneur, or you're at the top of the team. You're on the leadership team. Stay driven for relationships instead of fear of failing to get a result. Value relationships over results and solutions. Here's what I'm not saying. Yeah, just don't worry about getting you the results that your business needs, and just do a kumbaya circle and love one another. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, in order for you to get where you're going, it's going to take a team and it's going to take people. If you are focused on being relationally whole with the people you're with and getting to your goal, and knowing that without a relationally whole team headed towards a goal, you're not going to get there, at least not in a healthy way, or you're going to have people leave along the way. You want to be a manager who considers other people's emotional well-being as you're going forward. Okay? Instead of the problems that are not happening. Does that make sense? So you're staying driven because you're going, I want to provide for my team. That's why I'm staying driven. I want to see my team succeed. That's why I'm staying driven. My team is the one that gets us to the goal. They need to be 100%. That's where I'm going. Instead of going, we got to get there because we might not get what we need to go. We're not going to get the result that we want. I'm staying in a state of fear. What is fear? False evidence appearing real. We don't want to stay in a state of fear. It's okay to be concerned. It's okay to take a realistic view of what could go wrong. That's just normal, healthy business habits, right? But if you stay in a place of going, I'm in fear of getting a result, that's not good. I hope I'm making sense. And then you value relationships over results and solutions. Again, we are in the people business. It doesn't matter if you're a programmer, whatever it is, behind a screen all day. You work with people. It's people that's getting this job done. So you value the relationships over the results and solutions. It's not saying you don't value the relationships. You don't value the results and solutions. It's saying you don't value them more than the people on your team, because you realize that the people on the team and the people above you are what gets the job done. So you're looking, how can we make this place better? How can I lead you better? How can I lead this organization better? By understanding my own emotions and what gets me triggered and what are my needs and what are the needs of the team. Okay? Act like yourself. If I could hone you in on one that is like at the epicenter, it's act like yourself. Most of the leaders that I coach have no idea who they are. When you don't know how to act like yourself, people don't know what to expect from you. We all have had the boss who was insecure and fearful. I was one of them. And so people are not going to bring their problems to someone who they don't know how that person is going to respond. They're just not going to. They're going to try and figure it out on their own, or they're going to sugarcoat it. Okay? Consistent character anchored in a positive core identity, meaning you think positively of yourself. I can't tell you how many people I coach, and I love it when they bring it up because I know we're about to crush this thing, but the idea of not being good enough. I mean, I'm literally doing it right now. We've got a client that I'm literally helping them crush that identity, that thing, not being good enough. It has to be killed. We need a positive identity. Hey, I'm going to fail on the way up. I'm going to mess up on the way up, but who I am is not attached to what I do. I have a positive core identity, and you are consistent in character. People know how you're going to act and how you're going to respond in most situations. It doesn't mean you know how the situation is going to be, but you know how to be in situations. Okay? Rare leaders know who they are and how they respond in the majority of situations. This is huge. You want to see your team, you want to see your company increase and do some amazing things. Be someone that people know can respond in the majority of situations in uncertain times. I'm getting fired up, guys. I can't help myself right now. All right. Return to joy. Single biggest factor in producing sustainable motivation is you know how to return to a place of joy. Okay? Leaders who can experience upsetting emotions such as shame, anger, fear, and despair. It's saying you will feel these things if you haven't already. Welcome to being however old you are. You're going to experience emotions such as shame, anger, fear, and despair. But yet you possess the skills to recover quickly and help their people recover as well. How quickly do you respond right now where our nation is going through a crazy, chaotic time? Do you know how to return back to a place of gratitude? Do you know how to respond and return back to a place of, I don't know what's going to happen next, but I know who I'm going to be, and I'm excited to be who I am and to bring who I am to every situation that's out there. You better come on, okay? Returning to joy. Rarely overwhelmed by situations they face. I just want to be clear that this is a learned skill. It's rare that I find leaders that know how to do this right away. You've got to, it's a learned skill. And I want to say, I am learning this, okay? Endure hardships well. Guys, here we are. I mean, welcome to 2020. Have we had a lot to face? How well do you suffer? I mean, that is a real question. How well do you suffer? Okay? What does that look like? Are you a complainer? Or do you go, I feel an emotion right now. I acknowledge that emotion. That emotion is not my reality, but it's there. Okay. I'm going to face this emotion. I'm going to talk about it with somebody that I know I can trust in a healthy way, and then I'm going to move on. I'm not going to complain about it. I'm just going to accept that that is a reality. Don't avoid suffering. Suffering is coming. Don't avoid it. We need to face it. And there's different ways to face it. And there's healthy ways. But someone who endures hardship well, that's a big deal. Can deal well with people who are emotionally immature. I mean, this is like one of my biggest growing places. People who are emotionally immature, I want to just walk out the door. Oh my gosh. But learning that these people are absolutely valuable, and I was them, and I'm still them. And so I need to grow an appreciation for those people and bring them along. And if they don't want to come along, that's on them. But I provide the opportunity for them to grow. Okay? We're coming to the last slide, and then I'm going to have Q&A time. Man, I'm doing so good on time. We're going to wrap up a little bit earlier. And I hope that's okay with you guys. I've never had anyone complain about things finishing up early. We're going to go to Q&A after this. Man, you guys are doing so good. This is so awesome. I hope this is helping you guys. I can't see the chat, but I'm loving this. All right, here we go. So some of you are going, I need the tools to actually do this. I need to, like, how do I overcome like this, where I'm at? I feel like I'm in the midst of chaos. I feel stagnant. I feel this. Here's where we're going, okay? So emotional capacity cheat sheet. If you have any questions about this, reach out to the chamber, reach out to me. I'll leave some contact information, but we might just want you to go straight to the chamber and see if we have some resources there. But here's where we're at. This is just a cheat sheet. Eventually, you won't have to use this. You'll go through this. I mentally go through this in my head so quick just because I've been aware of it for so long. But I'll show you how this goes. So something happens at work, or you come home, or something happens and you go, I feel, and you want to be really clear with how you feel. So the first thing you want to do is just acknowledge the emotion that you're feeling, right? And then you want to be able to clearly communicate the reason why you feel that way. So often we don't go all the way in and we just say, I'm angry. And we don't know why we're angry. And someone will say, why are you angry? I don't know. Well, you need to communicate, because as you start to talk about why you're actually angry, you'll actually see that the problem starts to decrease, and you'll start to actually help your mind process through the emotion. The next thing you want to do is validate the feeling. You're not saying that the reason that you're angry is okay. What you're saying is it's okay that I'm angry. The feeling of being angry is valid because this happened. Doesn't matter how big or how small. Okay? Next step is I'm going to process this emotion in a healthy way by, are you going to call your counselor? Are you going to talk to a parent? You want to do this in a healthy way. I really want to encourage you guys not to share where you're at emotionally with people that work under you. And sometimes people that work with you at all. Are you part of a coaching group? Do you have a counselor? Do you have a therapist? Do you have some people that are in the business world that work for a whole nother organization that you can just text and chat with? All right. I'm going to process this emotional way by, it needs to be relational. Are you going to pray about it? All right. The next step is I'm thankful for this emotion in this circumstance, but it is not my master. Therefore, I'm choosing to be blank, even though I don't feel it yet. Guys, this honestly is the most important square in the whole thing, okay? I'm thankful for this emotion. So the biggest thing to understand is that your emotions serve you. You do not serve your emotions. You want to grow emotionally, you want to increase your capacity. This one thing changes everything for you. Your emotions are there to serve you. When you're angry, it tells you, something's going on in my heart that isn't okay. All right, I need to pay attention to that. But it doesn't mean that because I have anger, that I need to be a rage monster. It just means I need to spend some time later on today and see what this is all about. If you can't see, I'm pointing to my heart. Okay? I feel sad. Does it mean I need to break down emotionally at work right now? No. It just means I'm sad about something. I'm feeling some emotions. That's okay. I'm glad that my heart is healthy enough that it's alerting me of that there being something wrong. I'm going to talk about this with my sister. I'm going to talk about this with my brother. I'm going to talk about this with my therapist. Okay? I'm choosing to be blank. Guys, this is huge. You want to master your emotions? Understand that you can choose your emotions, right? You can choose to say, I'm going to choose joy. I don't feel joy yet, but I'm going to choose it right now. How am I going to choose joy in this situation? I'm going to think about things that actually make me happy. I'm going to choose gratitude right now. I'm going to be thankful for this, thankful for this, thankful for this. I still have a feeling of anger, but I'm choosing to move towards joy right now. I'm not going to ignore this. I'm just going to deal with this later today. Don't stuff emotions down. You got to deal with it. Or you can just say, I'm going to bring this up with my counselor in our next appointment. In fact, let me schedule that right now. But right now, I'm going to think about everything that's going right in my life. I have a job. Maybe I don't have a job. I've got interviews lined up. Maybe I don't have interviews lined up. I have skills that can get me a job. I live in a city that's hiring. I live in Austin. And as bad as the country's going through a recession, for some reason, Austin isn't. I'm thankful that I live in a city of opportunity. Wow. And you're starting to program your mind to operate in a place of going, there's more, there's more, there's stuff to be excited about, there's stuff to be thankful for, and you're training your mind to operate from a positive core identity instead of from a place of fear, poverty, and lack. So, guys, we did it. I talked a lot. It is now your time. It is your time to just go ahead and riddle me with questions. I'm going to stop this share. The mouse isn't showing up. Yeah. Okay.
Can you guys all hear me? Justice, can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you shedding a light on, everything that we can do to stay emotionally healthy with so many things that are impacting our lives and our neighbors' lives. So we did have some questions come through, so I'm going to dive in to these. A specific one, Amanda asked, is there a survey or test you can take so you can better understand which emotional needs are more, the most important to you? How do you find your top three?
Yes. So I have an emotional needs test that I use from the Center of Relational Care. I can give that to Mel. We can post it up there. It'll just show your top emotional needs, and it'll help you for sure. Yes.
Awesome. Cool. And yeah, I'll connect with you after this, just so everyone knows, and I'll get some resources and everything from Justice and make sure that we get those sent over to everyone in the post-event email. Okay, next question. We have quite a few coming through. So love the concept of come back to joy. How long should we let ourselves be angry, grieve, etc., before we come back to joy?
It depends on every situation. Okay. So if I'm feeling anger and I can see that it's a secondary emotion, right? So I can understand that I'm sad. I'm still in a journey of mourning some of the things that I'm sad about still to this day. So that's months, years, right? So you're returning into joy in the process of healing. Now, as you mature emotionally, which I'm maturing emotionally, you'll go through it faster, but certain things just hurt and are just like painful. Loss of somebody, loss of a job that you maybe loved and you felt alive in, but it just didn't work out. That might take longer. So it depends on the person, depends on the circumstance. But you're always returning to joy. You're just remembering how to return to joy in the process, and you're getting better and better at it. Does that answer the question? Sweet.
That was anonymous, so I think it's good. What are some ways? What are some ways we can support coworkers or employees in finding emotional health without crossing any lines?
Yes. So I will say this: the way that I coach is through questions. Why do I say that? Asking questions positions you in helping them process what they should do instead of you coming with the recommendations, because they're not asking. And so a lot of times what I'll say is, don't ask leading questions, but just ask them. Just going like, hey, how do you process through this stuff? What has been your process? Okay. How has that worked for you? Cool. Awesome. And what I really want you guys to be is be a source of great questions instead of a source of great answers and solutions, because you don't want someone signing up for counseling or doing all that kind of stuff because you told them to. But when they get to a point where they're going, I need help, they want to be able to come to you and go, hey, I need help. I know I ask you a lot of questions, but do you know of a good counselor or therapist or group or anything? And then you can be like, yes, let me show you a few in my Rolodex here. So I say stick to questions, be a resource, but don't necessarily be the one that's always telling them what they should do. And especially when it comes to emotions and counseling, it's just sensitive. I really am just really sensitive there unless they're coming to me for that specific reason. Like, who do you know? But yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, perfect. We have some more coming through here. So what do you do when the emotions surface at work? She said, for example, she tears up easily when she's frustrated, passionate, etc. Gets embarrassed by those tears, and I don't want them to happen at work. But sometimes they demand to be seen. How do you recommend navigating
Ha! I literally had a client the other day who said, I don't want to come across, she was a female. She was like, I don't want to come across as weak because of my emotions. And for a lot of people at work with women, she said, it can seem as though we're emotional just because we have emotions. And I was like, gosh, that's so valid. That's so true. And it's something that she's had to be really sensitive in the workplace. And so what I told her is giving people an understanding of why the emotions are coming up helps. So what I told her is like saying, hey, I'm feeling really excited or passionate about this. I'm not mad. I'm not angry, and I'm going to be okay. I'm just feeling a little emotional about this. Giving them a preempt of understanding your world, because even for me as a guy, even though I literally hear tears all the time, um, if I don't know where they're coming from, I've gotten to a place of asking. But before that, it was intimidating because most men are not in touch with their emotions. So they don't know what to do with them. But it doesn't mean you're emotional or you're a wreck. It just means letting them know where you're at. Saying like, guys, I'm starting to feel a little bit of emotion here. I just care so much about our work and my job. And I just see us doing something really important. I might cry, but I'm going to be fine.
Yes.
If they can't handle that, yeah.
I was just say personal anecdote. I've tried some of that as well because I do get emotional as well. And so I think coming from a place of authenticity and being yourself with your coworkers, employees will go a long way.
Yeah.
Okay, next one. You mentioned that when we're processing our emotions, that we should do so with a parent or a therapist, counselor, and not the people we work with, manager, coworkers. Why is that?
Yeah, because we do not know the emotional maturity of the people we work with. And I see it as very important to hold your position if you're in a place of authority. You want to be seen as being in authority and can handle. And you don't always know if people can respond when you share those emotions with them, if it changes the way that they see you. Because at the end of the day, you are there to help get a job done. Right. And so, yes, some people that you work with might be emotionally in a place where they can like see you go through stuff. And I think there's a healthy way of being vulnerable and just going, man, I'm having a rough day and it's all this. I'm going to be fine, but I'm going through this. But there is a place where you can overshare with the people around you, and they may never communicate to you that changes the way they see you as in being capable to do your job. And so what I do not want is because of your emotions, not you being emotional, but because of your emotions and you oversharing, that you might not get that promotion or that they do not see you as the leader that you are just because you had a moment of oversharing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, we have another question. If you find yourself at a crossroads, yeah, she said, great, thank you.
Awesome.
If you find yourself at a crossroads, how have you dealt with emotions to arrive at a better decision? Or is the problem not listening to emotions?
That's from Willie. Dude, thank you so much for sharing that. So I would say it depends on the crossroads, right? I try not to make decisions based on emotions. That's why I want to face the emotions so I can get to a logical decision that's not based on the emotions. I do not want to make any, again, they are not my master, they're my servant. They help me understand that something's going on. So the emotion might allow me to go, I feel uneasy about something here. What am I uneasy about? Okay, this just means I need to ask more questions about this problem. I need to get more research. I need to better understand it. I think that's what our nation is going through right now. They're going, something tragic happened and it's creating all of this emotion. But we're starting to ask the question of going, what caused us to get here? Why are certain people responding one way and why are certain people responding another way? Is that bad? Is that good? We want to ask more questions. So if you're at a crossroads, I would say let the emotion lead you to questions that allow you to get to a logical position to make a wise and measured decision. And I will also say, if you do not have a wise community of business leaders around you, I'm just going to stick to this being a business thing. If you do not have what I call a board, like a personal board of advisors of people that have gone further than you in maybe your role or in business that you can bounce this stuff off of, I would say try not to make a decision in isolation. Like, unless you just have a crazy history of making like really good decisions when you're all alone, I would just say find a business advisor, find some people that have gone ahead of you, and just say, here's where I'm at a crossroads. Can you help me think through this? And they need to have shown a history of emotional maturity. Like that is a big deal, that they're not making brash decisions. And just because their business is financially good does not make them emotionally mature. They might have got lucky.
Okay, so another one came through. We have like 2 minutes.
Okay.
So how do we kind of go about setting healthy boundaries, healthy emotional boundaries as well? Whether that's, at home, in the workplace, with friends, do you have any tools, resources, tips?
Yes. So the book that I recommend to everybody, I coach people that are atheists, coach people that are believers, coach people that are agnostic. I will still recommend the book Boundaries. Like it's a faith-based book, but it's not overly faith-based. Like you will not be offended by it, I promise. It helped me. It helped my wife. I recommend it to everyone about setting healthy boundaries. It even talks about boundaries at work. The one thing that has helped me the most is that I am not responsible for other people's emotions. That does not give you a pass to treat people like crap. Okay? If someone else is being emotional, they have a thing called self-control. And they also have a tool called communicating in a healthy way. But you are not responsible for how they respond to whatever it is. So that helped me on my journey of setting healthy boundaries, even like with my family, with my parents. I mean, if you end up having kids, you might have kids, but just your family changes. And there's a new demand on you being at Grammy and Grandpa's house. So you literally have to set healthy boundaries to when you're going to do things and when you're not, and be really explicit about, hey, right now, I'm not going to have these kind of conversations. If you want to have these conversations with me, they can wait to our quarterly, but right now we need to focus on doing this, this, and this, and let it leave at that. And how they respond to you setting a healthy boundary is not your responsibility.
Thank you. Is that, Boundaries by Henry Cloud?
Yes, Boundaries by Henry Cloud. Yes.
Cool.
And I think Townsend is the other author on it. Yes.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so it looks like we're at 12:30. Like I said to everybody else, this was recorded. I'll hook up with Justice to figure out the resources, tools to send your way, his contact info as well. So I just want to say thank you again, Justice, for taking the time to join us today, share some super valuable information on the list of emotional needs, the rare leadership. I had never seen that before, so that was awesome. And honing in on the acting like yourself. And one part, you serve your emotions; they don't serve you. That stuck out to me as well.
Good.
So thank you. And to our members and guests who have joined us for this webinar today, thank you again for hopping on and spending your lunch hour with us. Remember, keep an eye on the AYC website, social channels for more, upcoming programs, events, ways to engage locally. And we look forward to seeing you guys next time you can join us. So stay healthy and stay safe. Thank you.
Bye, guys.